Hi, I'm professional sports handicapper Ross Benjamin, reporting for the Offshore Gaming Association. That's OSGA.com, your number one source for information on the offshore sportsbook industry. That's OSGA.com. It's Tuesday, July 15th, and before I get to my free picks for today, congratulations to the many of you who viewed my video yesterday. I gave out three MLB totals. Each one of those selections cashed in as we had the Pittsburgh and St. Louis game under 8, the Tigers and Indians over 10.5, and the Reds and Cubs under 10. A perfect 3-0 sweep. Let's keep the winning going today. Just a quick note. I have over 1,000 subscribers here on this OSGA YouTube channel, and I certainly appreciate your support. Those of you who haven't subscribed, there's a subscribe button right there below the video. No cost to subscribe. You'll just be immediately notified upon any of the publications of my videos. So I would appreciate it. Subscribe from you people who haven't taken advantage of that free offer. Now let's get to the games. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Usually I'll give out my MLB totals picks or MLB underdog picks of the day. Today it's going to be my run line picks of the day. All three run line picks will be run line favorites. Let's get right to them. Let's start with the game between the Atlanta Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers that will take place at Miller Park in Milwaukee. Scheduled start time is 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. The Milwaukee Brewers currently minus 1.5, plus 115 on the run line. Bryce-Wilson gets his fourth start of the year for the Atlanta Braves. Two of his first three have come on the road, and he hasn't been doing very well in those first two road outings. As a matter of fact, how about a 9.40 ERA and an enormous 2.09 whip in those two starts? The Atlanta bullpen, albeit they have a respectable 3.48 ERA over the last 7 games, when looking closer inside the numbers, their whip during that course of time is 1.69, which is very high. It leads me to believe the Atlanta bullpen has been flirting with disaster on many occasions over the last week, have wiggled out of a lot of jams, and it just stands to reason if you continue to get yourself in those types of situations, sooner or later it's going to bite you in the behind, and tonight might be that time. The Milwaukee Brewers will go with right-hander Brandon Woodruff on the mound tonight. Woodruff is a perfect 8-0 in 10 home starts this season with a more than respectable 3.45 ERA and 1.10 whip. And he's also displayed very good form over his last 3 starts overall with a 2.18 ERA and 1.02 whip. Woodruff has started one game against Atlanta this season. In that outing, he was extremely effective in going 8 innings while allowing 2 earned runs, 5 hits, and not walking any batters. Milwaukee has been struggling of late, but it's not because of their bats, as the Brewers have a very impressive 829 team OPS in their last 7 games. Going back to Woodruff, the current total in this game is 9.5, and the Brewers are 11-0 in the last 2 seasons, this year and last year, at home, when there's a total of 8.5 from 8.5 to 10 with Brandon Woodruff as their starting pitcher. So that just tells me when Woodruff isn't facing an opponent with a dominant starting pitcher or the opponent's ace, Milwaukee fares very well in those situations, needless to say. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to take the Milwaukee Brewers minus 1.5 at money line odds of plus 115 on the run line. Next game, AL East showdown between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox from Fenway Park in Boston, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. Boston right now is minus 1.5, minus 110 on the run line. Toronto will go with the youngster Sean Reid-Foley on the mound. This will be his 3rd start of the season. His first 2 not very impressive with a 6.14 ERA and a 1.64 whip. Toronto will be facing right-hander Andrew Cashner of the Red Sox. Cashner will be making his debut for Boston after being traded from Baltimore. And that's significant because Cashner, again, a right-hander in Toronto, an abysmal 20-42 versus right-handed starting pitching this season. In addition to the Blue Jays bats have been ice cold over the last 7 games, averaging just 2.9 runs per game during that period of time, and also they've compiled a horrible 564 OPS during that course of time as well. The Orioles, who Cashner just came over from, Cashner, when he started for Baltimore this year, he made 17 starts. Baltimore was 11-6 in Cashner starts. Without Cashner, the Orioles were 17-59. So Cashner, when doing the math, when he started games for the Orioles, he accounted for over 39% of their wins this season. He's now gone. Baltimore, an even worse team than they already are without Cashner. And Cashner, over his last 5 overall for the Orioles, the Orioles were 4-1 in those starts, and Cashner's 1.41 ERA and microscopic 0.72 WHIP was a big attributing factor to Baltimore's success during that period of time. The current total on this game is 11, and Cashner is 5-0 this season in his team starts when there's been a total of 10 or more. Once again, that indicates to me he's not facing a top-notch pitcher on the other side, and in addition to, most likely with that high a total, he's facing a starting pitcher who is struggling. Boston, on the other hand, as far as they go offensively over the last 7 games, an excellent 870 OPS and averaging 7 runs per contest. I'm going with the Boston Red Sox -1.5, -110 on the run line. Finally, an interleague matchup between the New York Mets and the Minnesota Twins from Target Field in Minnesota. Scheduled start time there, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be Steven Matz on the mound for the New York Mets. He's coming off the DL. His last 3 starts before going on the disabled list, Matz had a monster 11-12 ERA and 2.30 WHIP. I don't like taking pitchers coming off the DL in their first outing, and that certainly is the case in this instance. The New York Mets bullpen doesn't figure to give Mets much help at all. They've been pretty much terrible for the entirety of this 2019 campaign. The current total on this game is 10, and the Mets are 0-12 the last 2 years. That's this year and last year, when there's a total of 10 or more, and they lost those 12 games by an average of 2.7 runs per game. The Mets have also gone 5-22 in their last 27 games this season as a road underdog, and 15 of those 22 losses have come by 2 runs or greater. Minnesota will go with Michael Pineda, and 4 of his last 5 starts have been very good. As a matter of fact, even with one bad outing, Pineda has posted a 2.83 ERA and 1.01 WHIP during those 5 outings. The Minnesota Twins, red hot offensively like they've been for the majority of the season, even more so over the last 7 games in which they've averaged 6.6 runs scored per outing and put together a very good 866 OPS. Minnesota's also coming off a 4-3 loss in their previous game at Cleveland on Sunday, and this is a Minnesota team that's gone 25-9 this season following a loss, and they average outscoring their 34 opponents in those games by an average of 2.4 runs per game. I'm going with the Minnesota Twins -1.5 +130 over the New York Mets. Repeating again, the Milwaukee Brewers -1.5 +115 over Atlanta. The Boston Red Sox -1.5 -110 over Toronto. And the Minnesota Twins -1.5 +130 over the New York Mets. Be sure to visit my website. That's rbwins.com. My paid selections last night, a perfect 2-0 as I had winners on the San Francisco Giants plus 125 and also on the St. Louis Cardinals minus 138. That's rbwins.com where you pay a little to make a lot. Until the next time, good luck with all your picks.